The film begins with a man named Ryan. He has just arrived at an airport in a Latin American state. He tries to find a taxi to take him to his destination, but the drivers refuse because he offers a low fare. Ryan then walks and sees a driver who has been sent to pick him up. On the way, the driver gives him a letter from someone named Jack. In the letter, Jack says he can't meet Ryan because he has work to finish. Jack also gives the access code to his house so that Ryan can enter and rest inside. When Ryan arrives, he is surprised to see Jack's house, which is so big and beautiful, even though it is in the middle of the forest. After entering, Ryan explores the house and finds a bottle of red wine. He starts cooking while waiting for Jack. Not long after, he hears a car arriving. Ryan greets Jack, and they hug immediately. It turns out Jack is Ryan's old friend, who he hasn't seen in 12 years. They share deep conversations about their lives. Eventually, it's revealed that they are both chefs who attended a culinary course together in high school. Ryan shares that he has only worked in a roadside restaurant with minimum wage, while Jack works for an agency that provides catering services. This house is rented by his agency for a dinner event that will be held the following night. Jack is the head chef for the guests, as well as preparing the ingredients and menu. Ryan is surprised to hear that Jack's salary is many times higher than his minimum wage, serving super rich clients from around the world. The next day, Jack takes Ryan for a drive to a small town using a vintage car he just bought. They stop at a small restaurant where they meet a girl named Alice. Alice used to work for a company, but she decided to quit, and now wants to travel the world with the money she has saved. Jack and Ryan share that they are chefs and have been friends since culinary school. Alice wants to know who is the better cook between them. Jack invites Alice to the house where Jack and Ryan will have a cooking contest for her. Alice prefers Ryan's cooking, proving that Ryan is better than Jack, who earns 100 times the minimum wage. After eating and swimming together, they discuss Jack's watch, which has its own history. The watch used to belong to Ryan after winning a gambling bet about 15 years ago. After chatting, Alice and Jack decide to sleep together, while Ryan is left to ponder alone with the food he just cooked. The next day, Ryan receives a message from a man named Rabbit, who is chasing him for his debts. It's revealed that aside from wanting to meet Jack, Ryan also wants to avoid loan sharks and debt collectors who terrorize him daily. Shortly after, Jack returns after taking Alice to her hotel. Jack wants to leave again because he has more work to do. After Jack leaves, Ryan secretly opens Jack's laptop, which is still on, and sees Jack's bank account balance of $7 million from his job as a chef for wealthy clients. That night, Jack returns and vents to Ryan about his life, which seems miserable despite having a lot of money. Ryan wanted to talk about his problem of being chased by loan sharks and asked Jack for a loan. However, seeing Jack's sad face and his complaints, Ryan decided to postpone asking for money and would find the right time to talk. The next morning, when he just woke up, Ryan was shocked to see Jack had hanged himself, committing suicide. Instead of calling the police, Ryan pondered his debts. He eventually decided to use the money in Jack's account to pay off all his debts and hide Jack's body. Since Ryan did not know the PIN for Jack's account, he had no choice but to go to the bank in person with identification. To do this, he ordered a fake ID on the internet in Jack's name but with Ryan's face, which would arrive in a few days. That day, Ryan received another message from the loan shark. This time, the loan shark sent a photo of Ryan's mother and threatened to harm her if he could not repay his debt. Ryan finally agreed to give the loan shark $50,000 if he would give him another week. Under pressure from the loan shark, Ryan became more determined to get Jack's money. That night, Ryan disposed of Jack's body in a nearby lake. The next day, when Ryan visited the restaurant he went to the previous day, the loan shark contacted him again, threatening to kill his mother if he did not repay the debt that day. Panicked, Ryan begged for the agreed-upon time. However, the loan shark did not believe him and threatened to come to the house that night. When Ryan returned home, a car was already parked in the yard. He met someone named Imogen and Maurice. It turned out that they did not know what Jack actually looked like and mistook Ryan for Jack. When asked about the preparations and the menu that would be served, Ryan calmly answered the questions since he was a chef like Jack. He used this opportunity to settle his debt by asking for part of the payment in advance. Finally, Ryan could breathe a sigh of relief after his debt was paid off and his mother was safe. However, now Ryan had to pretend to be Jack and take on all the responsibilities. As a chef, Ryan should not have been worried about any menu Imogene requested. However, when asked to cook human meat and choose a human to cook, Ryan was utterly shocked, stunned, and bewildered to discover that the agency was a secret organization providing human meat dishes for wealthy clients. If the event failed, or Ryan's food was not good enough and disappointed the guests, Ryan would be killed. That night, Ryan thought about escaping the house but was hindered by Imogene, who made it impossible. Imogene, suspicious of Ryan's behavior, informed him that the guests tomorrow were wealthy individuals willing to pay $1.5 million for a single dinner. They had an extensive network worldwide, so if Ryan tried to escape, his life would be at stake. Finally, the reason why Jack committed suicide was revealed. He could not bear being involved and trapped in this job. The next morning, Maurice woke Ryan up to take him to the church they visited yesterday. Their goal was to find a target for fresh, healthy, and clean cooking ingredients. They set their eyes on a girl who was with her grandmother and decided to follow them. At a bridge, Maurice and Ryan lost track of the woman who entered an alley. Eventually, they encountered a young tire repairman. The repairman asked what they were doing there. Seeing the healthy and young tire repairman, Maurice decided to make him the substitute target. Maurice pretended his car had broken down and offered money to the repairman to check under the car. Just as Maurice shot the repairman, the girl and her grandmother they were following earlier appeared with a local police officer. The officer approached to ask why Maurice and Ryan were following the girl. Being experienced and long employed in the agency, Maurice had an alibi for such situations. He pretended to be a representative from a big company surveying the location for a hotel construction and showed a convincing business card. Back at the house, Imogene asked why they only brought one body. Maurice explained that he had to give the business card to the police who approached them. Hearing this, Imogene understood Maurice's situation. They then took the tire repairman's body to the basement, where Imogene instructed Ryan to prepare the cooking ingredients. Ryan reluctantly complied to avoid suspicion. Imogene added that Ryan had to cut out the man's tongue, as the guests requested a dish made from a specific body part. After some time, Ryan finished cutting the body parts. Maurice then checked the basement and helped Ryan prepare the ingredients. Ryan felt disbelief over what he had done. If only he had called the police when Jack committed suicide, none of this would have happened. After showering, Ryan saw the fake ID he ordered a few days ago had arrived. He thought again about escaping using Jack's car. As he drove a few meters from the house, he accidentally hit a gardener. When Maurice arrived, Ryan claimed the brakes had failed. However, Maurice was not easily fooled. Ryan then admitted his desire to escape from the house. Surprisingly, Maurice did not get angry or report him to Imogene. Instead, Maurice advised Ryan never to think of escaping the agency, explaining that no one had ever successfully escaped. Their network was extensive and worldwide, making it easy for them to find anyone, including Ryan. Hearing this, Ryan decided to continue as he had no other option to escape the agency. Ryan then went to the kitchen, prepared his cooking tools, and informed Imogene about the menu for the dinner event. As the evening approached, guests began arriving, brought in by Maurice. However, during the busy dinner preparations, Imogene was informed that 2 police officers were at the door. To avoid suspicion, Imogene allowed them inside. The officers were Detective Ruiz and Officer Gallo, whom Maurice and Ryan had encountered earlier that day. The detective then asked about Maurice's whereabouts. However, Imogene informed them that Maurice was not present. The detective then showed a photo from his pocket, stating he was looking for the person in the photo because that person was his nephew. It turned out that the person was the tire repairman they had killed earlier in the day. Based on police information, Maurice and Ryan were at the scene where the tire repairman disappeared. The detective then asked about Ryan's whereabouts and requested to meet him. After being escorted to the kitchen and meeting Ryan, the detective asked if Ryan had seen the tire repairman. Ryan replied that he had not. Imogene then informed the detective that Ryan was an architect at their property company. The detective immediately asked for detailed design and materials they would use for the hotel construction. However, since Ryan's answers were somewhat implausible, the detective became suspicious and decided to stay and wait for Maurice. Seeing Ryan's nervousness, Imogene quickly offered some meat soup, which, unbeknownst to them, was made from the tire repairman they were looking for. Imogene quickly went to the guests to explain the situation and asked them to pretend to be investors in the hotel project. Imogene then returned to the kitchen to accompany the detective, who was enjoying the soup made from his own nephew. The detective asked what kind of meat it was because it tasted so good. Ryan answered that it was pork mixed with lamb. Additionally, the detective asked to use his phone in the corner of the room and started asking several questions about architecture. Seeing that, Ryan clearly bewildered. Luckily, there was noise from another room where new guests had just arrived. Before meeting the guests, Ryan was scolded by Imogene for not understanding the situation and the scenario he should follow. Imogene then met the detective who was interrogating Maurice. Skillfully, Maurice managed to deceive the detective with his alibi. Before leaving, the detective approached the dining guests to say goodbye. One of the guests from Japan offered the detective to dine with him, while the police officer chose to leave early because he had other work to attend to. Imogene scolded the guest from Japan, saying it could disrupt others' comfort. The guest replied that wealthy people like them and other guests needed thrilling experiences while dining, so having a detective at the table would add new excitement and challenge to the dinner. Soon after, Maurice informed Imogene about an unexpected guest waiting at the front, who wanted to meet Jack. The guest turned out to be Alice, someone who had dated Jack. Imogene allowed her in, hoping she would leave quickly. Ryan was shocked to see Alice because he did not expect her to come at such an inappropriate time. While watching Ryan cook, Alice asked about Jack's whereabouts and why he wasn't cooking. Ryan answered that Jack had returned to UK, leaving Alice disappointed and deciding to leave. As Alice was about to leave, she was shocked to see Jack's watch on Ryan's wrist, making her suspicious and causing her to hurry home. Meanwhile, Jack was called by the guests to receive praise for his incredibly delicious and exquisite dishes. The guests requested a special dessert featuring tongue. Ryan went back to the kitchen to prepare it, but was horrified to find that the tire repairman's tongue had herpes. They would need to find a new tongue to serve the guests. Just as Alice entered to ask for a taxi because her car broke down, Ryan served tongue sashimi to the guests. We can guess whose tongue it was. Ryan discreetly sent a message to the detective to meet him in the bathroom. He then confessed to the detective that the meat they had eaten earlier was from the tire repairman. The detective immediately felt nauseous and vomited after learning the truth. They devised a plan together. Then the detective left, supposedly going home, but instead met Ryan in the basement. Upon arrival, the detective was shocked by what he saw. When he tried to call the police, he realized his phone was left inside. Although Ryan had his phone, the panicked detective couldn't remember his colleagues' numbers. The only way was to retrieve his phone charging inside while the detective waited in the basement. As Ryan went inside to get the phone, just as the guests were about to leave for their respective countries, Maurice grew suspicious of Ryan's movements. He went to the basement and found the detective there. Without hesitation, Maurice killed the detective with a chainsaw. When Ryan returned, he found the detective dead in a pool of blood, with Alice's body beside him. Despite knowing that Ryan had tried to expose everything, Maurice acted as if nothing had happened and instead asked Ryan to clean up the mess. After the event, Ryan saw Imogene writing emails and fabricating the deaths of the victims. Ryan asked how she could do all this. Smiling, Imogene replied that she was used to it and was supported by the agency, which was very professional in handling such matters. The next morning, Ryan was still daydreaming in bed after a sleepless night, haunted by what he had done. Imogene then informed Ryan that there were many orders from satisfied guests, and the central office recommended Ryan to be a chef at a bigger event with very high pay, serving super rich and elite guests. Imogene also transferred the remaining payment of over $4 billion. Imogene said the next event would be held in Africa. Suddenly, Maurice stood up and injected something into Ryan's neck, explaining that the device would allow the agency to control and track Ryan anywhere. Ryan then packed his belongings and left for London, Jack's hometown, driven by the same driver who had picked him up earlier. Meanwhile, Maurice was busy destroying evidence by burning Jack's and Alice's cars. At the airport, Ryan met other passengers waiting for their flights. He then met a man who introduced himself and shared his story. The man complained about his low-paying job and the poor hotel he was given. He envied Ryan, a chef with a huge salary and luxurious hotel facilities. He had no idea that Ryan disliked and was unhappy with the outcome of his work. And the film ends. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. Because by subscribing, you have supported me to make better videos. See you in the next video.